The smell hit the guards first, that sour mix of old pizza boxes, spilled wine, and sweat that seeps into the walls when a man gives up on himself. For almost a month, Daniel Moretti, yes, the billionaire who used to grin on magazine covers, had locked himself inside the top floor of his own company's tower in downtown Chicago. Once he had the world eating out of his hand. Now he sat in a wrinkled shirt beard, wild eyes bloodshot, drinking cheap Cabernet out of a chipped coffee mug like it was medicine. Divorce papers scattered across his desk like shrapnel. His wife had left, half his fortune was gone, and his heart felt like nothing but ashes. "Go away," he'd shout at anyone who knocked. His assistant stopped trying. His mother left voicemails in Italian he wouldn't answer. Even the board threatened to replace him. But Daniel didn't care. He wasn't Daniel Moretti, business king, anymore. He was just a man who had failed. Failed at marriage, failed at love, failed at life. Nights dragged into mornings, days blurred. The only thing he felt was the weight pressing him deeper into that leather chair. Every bottle drained was just another nail sealing the coffin of who he used to be. And then one night the cleaning lady knocked. Mr. Moretti. The voice was soft, warm, the kind that didn't belong in the cold corridors of a glass skyscraper at midnight. "It's me, Clara, from the night crew. You okay in there?" "Go away," he barked harsher than he meant to. Most people would have left. She didn't. She sat right down on the floor outside his office door, cracked open her thermos, and said, "Well, I'm not moving. You don't have to talk. I'll just sit here and drink my coffee. Nobody should be alone this long." Through the silence, Daniel could hear her sipping, humming to herself. Something in him cracked. "You don't understand," he muttered through the door, voice rough. "You don't know what I've done." "I know you hold the elevator for me when I'm late," she replied, calm and steady. "I know you remembered my birthday once and you gave flowers to every woman on this floor for Mother's Day. I know you helped pay for a guard's son's surgery. That's the man I know." He slid down the back of the door, tears burning hot for the first time in weeks. For a moment, he was just a boy again, hearing someone tell him he was worth something when he felt like dirt. The next night, Clara showed up with soup. Homemade, steaming, the kind that carries the smell of family kitchens and worn recipe cards. He tried to wave her off. "You don't have to feed me," but the hunger in his gut betrayed him. He ate like it was his first real meal in months. Bit by bit, night after night, Clara kept showing up. Sometimes with food, sometimes just with a thermos of coffee, and the kind of stories you don't find in boardrooms. She told him about raising 3 kids after her husband died, about working 2 jobs, and still laughing through the pain about how she nearly drowned in grief before realizing the only way forward was to keep giving. "You can't find yourself in what you lost," she said one night, leaning against her mop. "You find yourself in what you've still got to give." That line hit him harder than any business deal gone wrong. He started showering again, shaving, picking up the phone even if just to tell his lawyer later. When Clara cleaned, she cleared the trash he'd been drowning in, and somehow she cleared the fog in his head too. One night he asked, "Why are you doing this? You don't owe me anything." Clara smiled, weary but kind. "Because I know what rock bottom smells like. And I know the only way out is when somebody sits with you in the dark until you're ready to see the light." Daniel didn't say it then, but he felt something spark, a sliver of hope he hadn't tasted in years. Weeks passed. The office that once stank of despair began to smell like soup bread and fresh coffee. Daniel started talking about things he hadn't admitted to anyone, not even his ex-wife. He told Clara he once wanted to be a teacher before his father drilled into him that money was the only legacy worth chasing. He admitted he never asked his wife what made her happy, never noticed her love for painting until she was gone. "You can't change the past," Clara said, dusting his bookshelf. "But you can learn. The question is, who do you want to be now?" For the first time, he had no rehearsed answer, just silence. And then slowly, I want to be the kind of man who deserves a partner, someone who shows up, someone who listens. The turning point came when he told her about an idea, something crazy for a man who used to measure life in stock prices. What if I used what's left of my money to build something real: scholarships, job training, something for families like yours who work 2, 3 jobs just to give their kids a shot? Clara stopped sweeping, turned, and really looked at him. Daniel, that's the first time I've heard you sound alive since I've known you. From then on, the two of them weren't just eating soup at midnight. They were sketching plans, talking about a foundation that could change lives. She brought her lived experience, he brought his resources, and together they carved something new out of the ashes of his old empire. But it wasn't just the work. It was the dinners he started planning, taking her to a little Italian place in a neighborhood he hadn't set foot in for 20 years. It was the way he started carrying her grocery bags at farmers markets, speaking Italian with the vendors while she bargained in French she'd learned from her grandmother. It was the laughter in her kitchen when he washed dishes for the first time in his life. "I need you to know something," he told her one night. Voice low, raw. "What I feel for you, it's nothing like before. This is real. Not about image, not about money. Just you." Clara reached across the table, squeezed his hand. "I wasn't looking for this either, Daniel. But you made me remember what it feels like to be truly cared for." When the foundation finally launched, she stood before the board, not in a maid's uniform, but in a simple blazer, speaking with fire about mentorship programs and scholarships. Even the Dean of Columbia leaned in, asking questions, nodding with respect. Daniel watched from the back of the room, chest swelling with pride. This woman who once mopped his floors now commanded the room like she'd been born to lead. And when he finally knelt down in the middle of a crowded restaurant holding out a small velvet box, the applause wasn't just for the ring, it was for the journey they had walked together. From a locked office reeking of despair to a partnership built on dignity, kindness, and second chances. They didn't throw a lavish wedding at some 5-star hotel. No, they married in a garden surrounded by her children, his mother and a handful of friends who knew the truth. Love isn't about spectacle. It's about someone knocking on your door when the world thinks you're finished and refusing to leave. Now, years later, the Moretti Foundation has sent hundreds of kids to college, built technology centers in neighborhoods most billionaires never bother to drive through, and taught Daniel what real success feels like. Not a bigger empire, not another zero in the bank account, but waking up every day next to someone who sees you flaws and all and chooses you anyway. But here's the part I want to leave you with. Should it really take a fall from grace for a man with everything to realize the value of a woman with nothing? Or did Clara prove that those with nothing often have the very thing? Money can't buy humanity, resilience, love. You tell me, was it destiny or just luck that saved Daniel's life? And more importantly, have you ever seen someone judged as less than turn out to be the one who changes everything? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what real success means and who gets to define it.